Welcome to Using Your Teacher Voice, Episode 8. I've talked before about the value of PLNs, Professional Learning Networks. This is a group of like-minded educators that get together. You can really learn a lot from each other when you get into those groups. Lately, though, I've had some moments where in my groupings I've kind of noticed some things that were kind of added bonuses, things that I weren't that I wasn't really necessarily looking for or wasn't expecting, but that the value of them was really worth it, and I think that it reinforces my belief in the Professional Learning Network. In my district, we have what are called PLCs, Professional Learning Communities, and these are mandated groupings of educators by subject and grade level. For instance, I'm the PLC leader for the junior English teachers in my building. Our system is it has some challenges. It's not a perfect system. There's a lot of scripted out, some time structures that you have to work around, a lot of mandates and a lot of requirements to get through, a lot of data analysis and test generation that we have to work through. But I think that as a concept of having that time to get together and work together, I think that's good. I think our system needs some work, but I think as an idea, it is a positive and it's a beneficial one. But in our PLC the other day, I just had this cool moment where I realized I just got something new out of this that I didn't really expect. We had just got done with our data analysis portion, and we just we were wrapping things up, and we were just kind of talking a little bit as we were getting ready to go. And one of the guys goes, "Hey, did you know that you can annotate and reply to a picture, an email picture, in the new iOS?" Like, no, I didn't. And so he pulled up his email on his phone, and his students had been working on infographics. They had emailed him their drafts of their infographics. He just pulled it up and started writing on it with his finger on the screen. I was like, "That's great. That is an awesome little trick." And so that. Somebody goes, "Well, what about airdropping that? Because when we start talking, how would you use this in the class?" He goes, "Could you do that in airdrop? Or, that'd be an easy way to collect stuff from people too." And so then we started well, let's play with airdrop. And I hadn't set my airdrop up, and I knew it was something I probably wanted to try and have. I just had never set it up. But I had the time, and we were sitting there, and let's set it up. And so, all of us had our airdrop set up, and, we practiced with it, made sure it was all working and stuff. The thing about it was, though, that it was an organic moment. That it wasn't, something that was on an agenda, like, okay, now discuss new apps. It was just this kind of spontaneous moment in which somebody had something to share. And because we had some time and we were all together, we could, let's set this up. Let's get this together. Let's, make sure this works. And I think a lot of times that when we have something to share, we don't necessarily have the time to share it or the reason to share it. Like going up to somebody and go, "Hey, I want to show you this real quick," and whatever. It kind of feels a little pretentious or, awkward or out of place. But this gave us that moment to have that. And I thought that was a great thing because, again, we were there and we utilized the time, but in a way that was really kind of casual and beneficial at the same time. Another moment that I had in a professional learning network was when I was working with my press group. I'm on the planning committee for a high school press organization. They're based in Illinois. I'm in Indiana, but I work with the group. And we got together. We're planning the spring convention, and we always try to get together at least once in person. It's just a great way to kind of reconnect, with each other. And we do most of our work virtually, but it's just kind of nice to, remind each other, who each other is, right? And they were talking about, different people. We were like, okay, who haven't we gotten submissions from and who hadn't sent in materials and whatever. And we're just bouncing names off each other in schools, and then that led into a discussion of, well, so-and-so's moved from this school to that school, and so-and-so won this award, and these people went to this convention, and these students have won these awards. And, it really kind of gave me pause and started to think about, am I really up to date with the people in my PLCs and in my PLNs? Do I really know where everybody's at? I know that there's these You get these people in your groups, your Twitter followers or whatever, and maybe you're not always up to date with them and where they're at and what they're doing. It just kind of gave me pauses, like, I need to make sure that I'm up to date with everybody, right? And so the next day I started, reaching back out to some people and, just making sure I was, up to speed with everybody. It was a motivator. It wasn't like something like you must do this, or it wasn't like, okay, we're going to learn new strategies to do whatever. It was just a motivator. It was just a little gentle nudge, a reminder like, hey, have you done this? What are you thinking about this? Why don't you do these things? I thought that was great and it was powerful. A third moment that I've had, I talk about how PLNs give you, bring you in touch with different people and bring you into, fresh material, fresh perspectives of things. But I think sometimes it's not that you have to find somebody new to learn something new. I think it's just being aware of how other people do things and just be listening for those things so you can kind of, pick up on these little tidbits and tips and hints. We were in our PLC, our Junior English PLC, and one of the guys, he had watched a documentary and created a set of study questions that went with it. I've done this before too. I think all of us have. Just something to keep them engaged while they watch the video. And he said that he went through and he marked out the times where all the answers were. I've done that too. And he goes, and then, I realized that 2 answers, number 1 and 2, were like 5 seconds apart. And then the next question was like 5 minutes away. He goes, and I know my students missed the second one because they were still writing from the first one, and then they were probably panicking because it's been a long time before they answered another question. And I just was like, I've never thought of it in that way. And it wasn't like he's like, how do you do this? This is how you do it. It wasn't like, teaching a best practice or something. It was just a comment he made. And I picked up on it. And because we were in that moment, and because I was in that kind of mindset of, what are some new things and what are different things, I realized this is something I can be thinking about. I've never thought of that before. And I thought that was really beneficial. The thing about professional learning networks are that you do learn a lot. If you are willing to put in the time and willing to share with others, you're going to get a lot back. And if you surround yourself with good teachers that share and are knowledgeable and are excited about their content, you can really learn a lot. And I think those are some of the best parts about PLNs, because getting that little bit extra from others helps you become a better teacher. And that is my teacher voice.